Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tackling Basketball Podcast. My name is Evan.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Micah.
And we have a very fun agenda ahead for you today.
Don't you just love it that we always keep the same order?
Yeah.
I like Micah going last.
Micah just shed a tear, but it's all right. So we are continuing the What's More Likely segment. We'll, of course, have trivia, talking about NFL free agency, because today has been absolutely bonkers. One of the craziest first days of free agency that I've seen in the NFL in quite a long time. But, as always, we'll start with Toast and Roast. Micah, who are you toasting this week?
I'm toasting Luka Doncic, who has recently made history in his last game by being the first player to ever have 6 straight 30-plus point triple-doubles.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd.
I feel like the picture does.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm also tagging on this along with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, who have also had some crazy stats recently. Sabonis had a 16-point triple-double with 20 rebounds, 12 assists. Another game with 31 points, 17 rebounds, and 9 assists. 25 points, 8 assists, and 15 rebounds. In that same span of time, De'Aaron Fox had 44 points, 4 assists and rebounds, 33 points, 5 and 5, 18 and 9 rebounds. And with all of these incredible stats by incredible players at the same time, both the Mavericks and the Kings have gone 500 in their last 4 games with these stats. So this is also kind of a roast on the teams. The players are doing ridiculous stuff, but especially when you look at the Kings, who have 2 players putting up absurd numbers at the same time, losing against the Rockets and the Bulls, and only beating San Antonio, who I don't think had Wemby, and the Lakers. And they barely beat San Antonio.
Yeah.
And the Lakers, and Luka and the Mavs losing to Indiana, Philly, and Boston. No one's mad about losing to Boston, but Philly, come on. And then beating Miami, which is a weird team in the regular season, and beating Detroit, which every single team should. It feels like those stats make me worried for these teams.
Right.
That if you're doing that, you should beat bad teams. And I don't... And all of them are, like, pretty healthy. It's not like they're missing players and, like, one person's having to carry the team on their back more than usual. Mm-hmm. Which is always Luka.
Yeah. It's one of those interesting statistics to me that I wish I would see more often, or wish I could even find for myself more often, because it's not an easy one to come across, is how much does a player's individual success contribute towards team success? Like, when they're having these great nights where they perform with, like, top tier, like, points, rebounds, assists, or, like, higher tier efficiency, things like this, what is the winning percentage for their team relative to when they don't perform? And for it's not entirely, obviously, up to the player for how well they contribute, but some of these efficiency metrics obviously do go there. But all of that aside, Luka, for sure, has had an incredible span of games. And I, as much as I want to see these statistics, if they come out and show that Luka was not efficient enough to contribute to wins here, I'm not sure I believe them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very good reason he won Player of the Month this month.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely deserved. He's playing ridiculous.
I think it should have been the most obvious voting in a very long time.
I feel bad for Luka, too, because he's 5th right now in the MVP race, and if his team was just
insane.
Slightly better,
that's ridiculous.
He would be top 3.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum's ahead of him, which I like. Best player, best team. You have an argument there, but also not over Luka.
Yeah.
And then it's Jokic, Shai, and Giannis.
Yeah.
I would say
it goes.
I might put Luka above Giannis right now. I still think Jokic and Shai full season have a standing above Doncic, but he should be 3 for me.
Yeah. So and it's because the Mavericks just aren't great, and I feel like this season, especially with the fact that Luka has somehow even turned it up a notch, there's just a question of what if they didn't make the Kyrie trade? Like, what if they still had that depth? What if they had gone after someone else instead? Like, gone after an interior player, which I feel like would have been a much better complement to Luka's game than a point guard, which, I don't know, I just feel like you didn't really need if you're the Mavericks in that situation. Like, I feel like them going after... just use him for an example, like going out and getting an Aaron Gordon or like somebody like that who's good on the inside who can do that dirty work. Yeah. That's what the Mavericks needed, not flat earth or Kyrie Irving.
It's also weird watching Mavericks games because Luka always has the ball in his hands, which he should. And then Kyrie's just like standing at the corner to shoot threes, which he does really well. But Kyrie's one of the best ball handlers in the league. And like why do you have them both?
Yeah.
Kyrie's incredible. He's been having a great season. I don't want to just shit on Kyrie.
Honestly, I have like more praise for him this season than I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't fit.
Yeah, but it's not good for the Mavericks. Yeah. So. But toast. Yeah. Along with all their troubles.
All right, Jonathan, over to you.
Yeah, so what do you get when you take a really good team who is only 3 players deep, and the player that 2 years ago was your best is now injured? You get clarity. And that is clarity that Anthony Edwards is him, and he needs to be your main guy going forward. We saw that on Thursday against the Pacers when he had just an absolutely insane performance. 44 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, including the one that you see on your screen right now, which was a game-sealing block in which he hit his rim, or he hit his head on the rim. He said in his post-game presser that it's the highest that he's ever jumped. And I'm like, no fucking shit. That's the highest anyone has ever jumped. He hits his head on the rim. Then he hits his shoulder on the backboard. Then he comes down and like lays on the ground for a few seconds to process that he just won the game for his team in a close affair. And like... even outside of this game, he's been stellar over the last few weeks. His entire career, let's be honest. Yeah. But, like, really stepping up as we're approaching playoffs when it matters. Like, the time within regular season, at least, that it matters most. He is showing up. He's making huge plays like this that this will be block of the year. I don't care what anybody else does the rest of the season. It for sure is right now. And I don't imagine a world where it could possibly be beaten. Like, no. The kid's insane. And like I said, Cat getting injured doesn't make their team better. I won't go that far. It does give them the clarity that they need. You are seeing Anthony Edwards elevate himself. And when Cat gets healthy again, I want to see a coaching shift to make Ant the unquestioned centerpiece of their offense. Because that's what he is.
I still feel to a certain degree the Timberwolves might benefit from trading Cat almost. Like maybe, I don't know, just from what you would get in return, Cat is significantly older than Anthony Edwards. I feel like just timeline-wise, it might make sense to almost reset at that position to a certain extent. Probably doesn't make sense to do it like this year or maybe even next year. But I don't know. At some point, it could make sense to move on from that pairing and look to give Anthony Edwards somebody else to work with. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's something that should be considered. I don't think now is the timeline, especially with Mike Conley, who has been doing so much for them this season and is also up there in age. Yeah. Like, you've got time to just try to win now, like, keep those veterans. But also, like, Minnesota's looking really damn good this season.
They are.
With Gobert and Cat. I'd be hard, like... unless you can get something really good that like very clearly puts you above, or unless there's any like major inside disgruntledness within the team with Cat, which there seems to have been for his entire career. I mean, you've got everything with Jimmy Butler, which is just
so fun,
pure entertainment.
Yeah.
But Yeah, they're an interesting team for sure.
Other fun thing is 5 years ago, if someone had said that Rudy Gobert and Cat would make for a better Twin Towers approach than Boogie and AD, I think you would have been laughed at. But here we are.
I mean, after the last decade in the NBA, I'm not sure I would have believed that any Twin Towers approach would have worked.
Yeah.
And this one is. So shout out to the Timberwolves overall. I agree with you, Micah. I don't think you move on unless something really weird happens. But I disagree with both of you. If you're going to move on, make it today. No franchise is guaranteed past 3 or 4 years into the future. So if you're going to move on from Cat and get draft capital, young talent out of it, you need it now so that you can capitalize on Ant. But I don't think you do that.
Yeah, it's fair. But yeah, wholly agree with what you said. Anthony Edwards is a star. He is the star of the Timberwolves. No one should be questioning that. The man is a stud.
All right. For my toast, and I'll preface this, Alperen Şengün, get better, buddy. We're gonna miss you playing for the Rockets here over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But Alperen Şengün has been on an absolute tear. I mean, this entire season he has been phenomenal. I think there's a decent argument that he might be the Rockets' best player, which is...
Oh, I don't think that's an argument. I think that's 100%.
Again, 2 years ago, crazy statement to make, but here we are. But the reason I'm toasting him, even though he got hurt, just from games this past week against the Spurs, in which he outplayed Victor Wembanyama, flat out outplayed Wemby, and kind of shut Wemby down. Wemby had 10 points in the game. Şengün had 45 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, 1 block on 19 of 32 shooting. Crazy game. Then against the Clippers, he had 23 points, 19 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals, 10 for 19 from the field. And then against the Blazers, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 7 of 15. More of a normal game for him, but absolutely crazy week for Alperen Şengün. Shows kind of what his ceiling is, just how good he can be in this league. Can score from anywhere on the floor. He can rain threes in. Can shut guys down on defense. He is an absurd talent in this league, and a guy who, if you're the Houston Rockets, you are so happy to have him be a part of that young core that you're building around, because you compare him with anyone and it will work out. And I think even he's probably making the Rockets really not miss Kevin Porter Jr. that much, because Kevin Porter Jr., they got in that trade, he was a big key piece for them in the future, and now at this point it's we still have Şengün. It's okay. So big props to him again. Hope a speedy recovery for him, because he's fun to watch.
Without a doubt. Yeah. He's fantastic. I hope the Rockets can hit on some more picks coming up, because right now their team is not...
It's Şengün and... Yeah.
Jabari Smith is solid.
Fine.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Green is fine. But if he gets paired up with another young stud, Rockets could be a super, super fun team. But yeah, I mean, he's incredible.
Rockets, I think you should trade Şengün to the Blazers. I think that's the best move that you could possibly ever make.
So yeah, we'll give you Brogdon.
And this year's first.
Yeah. You know.
That actually might be fairly fair.
All right, Micah, over to you for your roast.
Yeah, going back to Minnesota.
This French fucker.
Who should not be depoy, by the way.
I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the league, and it's because of him, but...
I won't say it's entirely because of him.
I would say a lot of it's because of him. But regardless, Rudy Gobert, who recently lost his team the game when they were playing... I just had it. Who are they playing? Playing the Cavs a few nights ago, where in the last 27 seconds in the game, with the Timberwolves up 1, got his 6th foul, and rubbed his fingers together in like a money motion to imply that Scott Foster and the rest of the reffing crew, yes, the picture on your screen, had been paid to throw the game against the Cavs. Which is like, if you're complaining about like the Lakers, there's a little bit of ground,
Or
not really
Celtics,
any,
or yeah.
but not the Cavs. you can't really make that
Conspiracy. Adam Silver wants Cleveland to be the best team in the league.
And while that
They're a
whole
sneaky
thing,
good market.
yeah, while that whole thing was just incredibly stupid, you can't do that with that much time in a close game.
Yeah.
Even then, I was kind of upset at the ref for calling a technical, just because, like, it's such a good, fun, close game. Why are you doing something? I get why it was called. You should call that. But it still made me upset. And then post-game, Rudy just doubled down and just kept on going at the refs over a foul. Like,
Yeah.
and was saying that because sports betting has become like bigger and bigger in the U.S., that's having a huge impact on the game. It's like, it's really not. These are really good refs. I mean, Scott Foster is not, but
Yeah.
like the league has really good refs.
But even Scott Foster, he does some dumb stuff. But like overall, like his success rate is probably well over like 85%. Like he makes the correct call. So like, come on.
And there are like good like standards set in place that NBA reviews so many controversial calls, especially at the end of every game. They review like the last 5 minutes, and like they focus on having good refs and good play calling. Betting does not have anything to do with this.
If it did, betting would go down in popularity.
Yeah.
It absolutely would.
It would be bad for sports betting, like sports books, to sway games, because then they're like, everyone would be pissed. They're going to be like declining, and I don't.
Yeah, because it would be hurting the bettors. But anyway, he got fined $100,000 for that shit.
Yeah.
He still hasn't paid for
shutting down the league.
Yeah, for shutting down the league in
Honestly,
COVID.
I'm so mad at him. He took away.
I refuse to ever like Rudy Gobert. I don't care what he did. He could cure cancer, and well, okay,
Really?
not, but he could save a child, and I would still question his morality.
He took away Long Island iced teas.
Yeah, he did mess up Applebee's. God damn it.
Again, he could save a child, and
We were sitting at
questions.
Applebee's during that press conference, and
Where I touched all the mics and everything? Yeah.
And I was certain that was the last time I was going to Applebee's.
Yeah.
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 He had a Lisan Al Gaib view of the future there.
I still remember watching the game that shut down the league. I think it was against the Mavericks because they were talking to Mark Cuban afterwards. But it was like the second doubleheader of the night for TNT or ESPN. And I was like, man, this is taking a long time to tip off. It's like, reports are coming out. Rudy Gobert has COVID. This game is canceled. So is the league. It's like, what? Yeah. Fuck you, Rudy Gobert.
LeBron got to win his Mickey Mouse championship.
It was a real championship. Everyone had the same thing.
I know it's a real championship. It's just fun to call it a Mickey Mouse championship.
I absolutely hate it when people on
like
Twitter try to downplay that championship.
I like to call it a Mickey Mouse championship because it was sponsored by Disney because it was at Disney World.
Sure, that is fun. But so many people on Twitter.
It was a legitimate championship. I don't think it was any lesser than anyone else's.
Yeah.
It's just a fun name.
Like, I despise the Lakers, and I'll call it a real championship. Yeah.
All right. Jonathan, time to roast your favorite team.
Yeah. So before this offseason, I would have said that the 5 best players on the Broncos, at least as far as like contribution to success, were probably ranked something like Surtain 1, Justin Simmons 2, Cortland Sutton 3, Jerry Jeudy 4, Russell Wilson 5. And in the last week, the Broncos have either dropped or traded numbers 2, 4, and 5 on that list. In total, what they have to show for it is a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick, and $90 million in dead cap.
Love it.
I thought the Waltons were supposed to be good with their money.
They're good businessmen, and this is not the point of the roast, but you distracted me. I will credit them for honoring Russell Wilson's deal when they had the ability to void it when they took on ownership. It's one of those things that you want to keep up a good image to the rest of the league and to players that you're trying to woo. You want to honor what you've promised and to be good, like, business people with them so that you can attract more free agents. However, that's the end of the praise. Because, holy shit, like, this team was fairly shallow, especially when it comes to the star talent. Like, Surtain was probably their only star. You maybe theoretically could have flexed it to the 5 that I mentioned, but if you did, there are 2 of those 5 left. And so you only have Surtain and Sutton of the people who could potentially qualify as like stars or top tier talent. And Sutton feels like he's on the outside looking in for that group. So to only return a 4th and a 5th and a 6th, and also to say for Wilson, we talked about this briefly last week because it's slightly old news, but the other moves are not. For Wilson, his $245 million contract, which thankfully only $85 million were guaranteed, doesn't kick in until next year. Like, he literally never played it down on his like record-setting extension. It's probably both the single worst trade of all time and the single worst contract of all time. Like, it is impressively terrible. The only positive that the Broncos really have to look forward to from this last week is combining these moves with a couple of contract restructures. They went from being $16 million over the salary cap, which how the hell do you get there with this roster? $16 million over the salary cap. They're now 31 beneath it. So they have some freedom to make some moves. Maybe try for like a Kirk Cousins. Oh shit, he went to the Falcons. They have nothing. This is a terrible roster with so many holes now, and like such a starving for any talent to be excited about. And they don't even have a 2nd round pick next year. They have a 1st, thankfully, but like it's not a lot to build off of. So they're in a very difficult spot, and I don't see much of a path forward.
The city of Denver had to sacrifice the Broncos for the Nuggets to win a championship.
I am so glad with that trade.
Yeah.
I'll do that again.
Anytime we can get a championship, that's a win.
But it still sucks as a Broncos fan. Like, Broncos are probably my number 1 team most often. Like, right now, they're obviously my 2nd favorite team because who likes watching the Broncos right now? But they're the team that I've cared about longer and deeper and...
Deeper.
Oh.
I didn't like that.
And this hurts. I'm really hoping Sutton sticks around because he's rumored to be either cut or traded as well, which will make it so that the only player that I'm really excited about is Surtain. So, yeah, it's sad.
Sorry, buddy.
Man. I can't believe both the Packers, Evan's team, and the Dolphins, Micah's team, are like really fucking good right now. Not just good right now, but bright futures. And like, man, this sucks.
Hey, we have the Blazers.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to talk about the Nuggets versus the Blazers?
Yeah, I do.
Moving on.
All right. My roast for this week is Troy Weaver. Troy Weaver is the general manager of the Detroit Pistons. There you go. There's the roast. That's it.
Boom.
No,
Roast.
he's been the GM of the Pistons for 3 years, so obviously not a good GM. Plenty of rumors that after the season he'll be fired because he should be. Like,
yeah.
You've had enough top 5 picks. You should have at least gotten better than you have been over the past 3 years. But the main reason I'm roasting him is he got into an altercation with a fan this past week in which he, according to witnesses, screamed a bunch of expletives at the fan. The fan later claimed that he threatened violence, and a couple of other witnesses corroborated that, of saying, like, yeah, he said some things that would be considered threats, and then had security remove the fan from the stadium. Witnesses, and then we have a video also of the moment when the fan got thrown out, that showed exactly what the fan said. The worst thing that the fan said the entire time of interacting with him was, "You suck at your job."
Yep.
Which isn't even a heckle. That's just stating a fact.
Like, there are players and coaches out there that if you told them the worst thing they would hear all season is "you suck at your job," they would like give a sigh of relief of being like, "Oh, cool! Like, I can take that all day long."
Yeah.
But this man threw a fan out of the stadium and threatened violence against him for saying "you suck at your job," probably because he knows it's true and he's going to get fired. But it's just, he just looks stupid. Like, come on, like, I'm all for fans being more respectful and not getting on players and coaches all the time. But when your team is this bad, and when he didn't even really heckle. He said, "You suck at your job." Like, you need to take that. And the other thing that Troy Weaver said, he's like, "I don't come to your job and tell you that you suck at it." It's like, well, luckily for that guy, he doesn't have a job which is in the public eye all the time.
And he's probably better at his job than you are at yours.
But that's all. I also just think that's a dumb comment in general, because it's like, sure, you may not come to his job, but if he sucked at his job, I guarantee you, he'd be hearing about it from someone. It wouldn't go unnoticed. Like, his boss or the customers he worked with would tell him he sucks at his job. So, I just think Troy Weaver looks like such an idiot. The Pistons should 100% move off of this guy. He's had more than enough time to turn this franchise around, and they are still the worst team in the NBA. So,
yeah, I will say he hit on Jalen Duren. He hit on Cade Cunningham. Those are some solid players.
You could not have missed on Cade Cunningham.
Fair,
that was not his praise.
Fair. He hit on Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren's great, but the team sucks.
Yeah.
And has sucked for way too long.
Yeah. That was a long twist and row, so we'll jump right into NFL prospect scouting, and man, has Micah got one for us today. Micah, over to you.
I know we're supposed to get some deep cuts and not pick some of the higher prospects, but I think this could be a first rounder. I'm taking the kicker from Stanford, Joshua Carty. This guy's a dog, man. He's a damn good kicker. He went absolutely perfect in the 2022 season. And in 2023, went 21 for 21 of extra points, only missed 4 field goals. 3 of them were 50-yarder pluses, which he also hit 4 of those with that 56 long. And then missed 1 field goal within 30 to 39 yards, going total 23 for 27. The dude is also 6'2", 210. So, you know,
great numbers.
Yeah, someone's returning the ball. All the other defenders he gets past. You got Joshua Carty.
To be fair, take him down. That is pretty tall for a kicker.
Yeah. I don't understand what you're upset about. I expect a long conversation about this from you two. What do you guys think about Carty?
God damn it.
Kickers, I think, are the hardest to scout from an outside perspective because I genuinely believe there are probably 500 people in the United States that have the physical talent to be a kicker in the NFL. And there are less than 32 that have the mental acuity to do it. And that's a very difficult thing to assess by any means.
This guy has it.
I am a little bit encouraged that he has like this misdistribution for his field goals. I do think that probably lends itself to the idea that he has first, attempted a lot of difficult kicks, and second, has been very capable of recovering from misses. But at the same time, I know next to nothing about kicking. I don't know how to evaluate this prospect past what I just said. He's not going to be a first-round kick because of Aguayo. No one ever will again. But maybe he'll be great. I don't know. I don't know.
I love him. Homie's hitting the 3-point make sign with his hand when the ball's coming off of his foot.
Start tapping his forehead with it.
I don't know. I have a weird love for kickers. They won multiple fantasy leagues for me over the years. I don't know why, but it's always the kickers that do me well. And this guy's a damn good kicker. He's going to make it. He's going to be good.
NFL comp, Greg the Leg.
Exactly. Maybe. No one will be Justin Tucker.
No.
Greg the Leg for sure.
The other question here for me is, like, how early would you draft Justin Tucker if you knew that he was going to be what he would be?
First round.
First round, I think. But, like...
Top 10.
I don't know if top 10.
Depends on what the rookie class is like, but I could see
a guy who knocks in essentially every field goal and every extra point. I would take him top 10.
Like, how many games has he won off of very long kicks?
Enough.
That you can...
But, like, above competition, like Vorp, like, he's very good. He's, like, the best kicker of all time in that, and, like, deserving of a first-round pick. But if you had perfect foresight for everybody in the draft class, I'm not sure he claims top 10.
No, I want to look at his draft class, but no.
That would be interesting. Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later. All right, Jonathan, over to you for your scout. Good one, Micah.
So, I'm going with a somewhat boring one as well. Offensive tackle, baby! Amarius Mims from Georgia. Currently the 4th tackle on ESPN's big board and the, like, 6th plus on a lot of other big boards. But one of the... I'm going to, like, discount so much of what I'm about to say with this one thing, which is if you look at individual statistics from the combine relative to how well they project prospects' success in the NFL, nothing across any position group outweighs success factor from the combine as much as arm length and tackle, which is kind of stupid in my mind. That you can literally just take a physical measurement of a guy, and as long as, like, the film stands true that, like, this guy is talented, he's quick, he's smart, as long as, like, the baselines of the film are true, arm length trumps everything. And Mims is 98th percentile for arm length all time. He's top in this class, and he is also got a lot of the other statistics. He was very strong in the 40, pretty good in the 10-yard shuttle, and then beyond that, his film does show a lot of promise, especially in pass block, which I think goes a long way in the NFL above run blocking. I do think that he has potential in, like, pull schemes with his, like, top tier speed. He is honestly elite at his 40 time, but didn't get to practice a lot of pull blocking in the in college. But he's quick, he's agile, stands a little bit too upright, can, like, struggle a little bit against a speed rusher, although he has the talent and certainly the physicality to adapt in the NFL. And I think that's most of what you can say about any tackle candidate. So
I like it. I don't know enough about the tackle position to give.
It is, like I said, arm length to tackle success is the single biggest teller from combine measurements, and it is, like, stunning if you look into the results. Like, I saw a really cool like, Twitter breakdown that I wish I could credit them, but I lost the tweet, and therefore I don't know who posted it. So please leave it in the comments, like, comment, subscribe. But by far the biggest contributor is arm length for tackles, and it is not one of the biggest contributors for like their actual draft position. Like, it's not considered strongly enough if you look at the statistics. So for them to be weighing him at 4th at best is telling that he will probably beat that.
I like it. Cool. For my guy, I'm going with Isaac Garindo, running back out of Louisville. Some background on him: he was a 5th-year senior this year, he was Louisville's running back 2 this season, so wasn't the main back. But this season he had 810 yards and 132 carries for a ridiculous 6.1 yards per carry, which is very, very good. Had 11 rushing touchdowns and then 22 receptions for 234 yards. At the combine, came in at 6 feet tall, 221 pounds. The two big categories that stand out are he had a 41.5-foot vertical, which is 99th percentile from the combine, and he ran a 4.33 40 time, which was 98th percentile. So he is extraordinarily athletic, very fast, very agile. So
I want to see this guy hurdling people.
It's
my favorite thing.
He's got all that down.
What I love about him, I'm not sure he will.
Lame.
I'll start out with his weaknesses here, as I always do. One of the biggest things for him is he needs to learn how to become a smaller target when going through traffic. He runs too upright and is a large target for tacklers. He gets in trouble at the line of scrimmage because of that. He needs to learn how to make himself small, get through those lanes a little bit more effectively. He isn't very elusive at the line of scrimmage, again, because of that running too upright. And then his jump initially off the line, for some reason, isn't always the fastest. And then he does have a slight frame and can't put on a whole lot more weight, which at 6 foot 221, he's not small, but not big. So he's not going to be a physically imposing threat like a Derrick Henry. But
he's undersized for a running back, just not for the NFL necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. But then you get to his strengths. He has very good acceleration and speed, and combined with the fact that he has top end sprint speed, can make him a threat anytime he gets loose in the open field. Also has very good elusiveness, and he's able to outrun angles. His agility allows him to keep his top speed when turning and weaving. Dude legit doesn't slow down when juking people. It's nuts to watch. Very good blocker on the outside, which is a very good skill for a running back 2 option. Also solid skill as a receiver and could work well in the swing passes and in the screen game. And then he actually does a very good job of picking up blitzes and has the strength to anchor and stand up blitzes. Again, very good characteristic to have, especially for a guy who will likely be an RB2. I think he probably has like 3rd round, 4th round outlook for this draft, but I think he's kind of a sneaky prospect for a lot of teams. I think his upside that he has is huge, but it's just he hasn't proven in the past that he's like a phenomenal running back. So it's a team that will have to be willing to kind of take that shot, which in the 3rd or 4th round, by the time you get there, you're willing to do so.
And if you already have a solid number 1, RB1.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think this is the first time that either of you have proposed a prospect that I really, really love.
Like Joshua Carty is somewhere crying right now.
I don't know how to evaluate kickers. I'm sorry, but like this guy, I'm looking at like his knocks across all sorts of platforms, and they're saying he's undersized. Like you said, he could stand to like get a little bit smaller through traffic, and not like super strong elusively, but like elusiveness is one of those things that I think a lot of people grade poorly, where they sort of just look at the raw statistics of how many tackles did you break.
Yeah.
Broken tackle is not the perfect measure. I think that yards after contact is the better measure. You look at that, he's much better off than he is for broken tackles.
Yeah.
And then again, like getting smaller is a lot about ball control. Like he could probably stand to get smaller because people in the NFL are going to be trying to rip that ball out of him. But as far as like elusiveness goes, like ducking down doesn't add a ton of yards on the NFL level. Like what does add a lot of yards is stability with your legs, like that low center of gravity and that like willingness to like not like try to punch at the defender, but punch through the defender and like keep your feet underneath you and pumping. And he's got that.
Yeah.
Like, I am surprised for his stature, how talented he is at like the metrics that I look for when I try to project somebody's ability to like gain yards after contact at the next level.
Yeah.
He's got what I want him to have, and I think that he has like strong potential to perform as. I don't think he like stands a ton of chance based on his stature and like his raw like measurements of being a top 5 running back in this class, but he should certainly outperform his draft position.
Yeah.
So
sick. I got the Johnson stamp of approval. All right, with that, let's jump over to NFL free agency. Like we said, been a crazy day, crazy Monday so far to open up free agency. We're just going to be covering what we kind of have deemed as like the top transactions so far. Make these quick. We'll essentially just say if we think it was the right move for the team, if we think it was the right move for the player, move it along, keep it going. We'll start out with Baker Mayfield to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or staying with the Tampa Bay Bucks. 3-year deal. What do you guys think?
I really like it. I know I've made a lot of jokes this season about Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, but I've always really liked Baker, and especially for someone who a few years ago was like out of the league and then like joined the Rams super last minute and won some games and then was out again and joined the Bucks. And the way he performed this season, I think absolutely warrants this contract. Yeah. I think he's good enough to be a starter in most teams. Like, the Bucks are not a great team, but they've got a solid QB who can do stuff for them. I like the number he got. I like what the Bucks are paying him.
It was definitely one of those situations for the Bucks where, like, you made the playoffs with him. Like, you can't not re-sign him. Like, it would just look stupid and bad on your part, especially with how young he is still, to not re-sign him. In a 3-year deal, especially for the money that they gave him, like, it doesn't screw you over or anything for the future. Like, in the next couple of years, if you want to move off of him, great, do so. Like, it really isn't going to have a negative impact on him. So I think, yeah, both parties come out of this pretty solid.
I think he got too much money. I know that, like, he did take them to playoffs. He is young. He's got potential. But he's also showed a lot of flaws in his time in the NFL. And to give him a $100 million base contract where, like, not all of that is guaranteed. All of it is base, though. So, like, if he stays roster, he's getting $100 million, only $15 million in incentives, and $50 million guaranteed, even if he's cut, is probably a touch higher than I want. But he did do better last year than almost anyone expected. And, like, honestly, I don't talk a lot about like my prospects that I rated poorly, but I rated him highly coming out of the draft, and he disappointed me for the most part. So maybe he's got potential to elevate back to what a lot of people projected him from college. So it's not a bad deal. You can swing for the fences. You can hope that he can develop. But if he stays the same, I think it is bad.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right, let's go Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't have an official contract yet, but everyone's essentially saying it's a done deal. What you guys think?
This one is the exact opposite of it, where like, I don't think that Russ has a ton of upside right now. I don't think that he's going to like progress in his career. I think he's largely fallen off a cliff. But I love the contract.
Yeah, for the Steelers.
The problem is that I'm a Broncos fan, and every dollar that the Steelers paid him was going to be deducted from the Broncos cap. And he accepted veteran minimum.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, Steelers are paying him like 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because then the Steelers' money can be put towards other people, but you're still getting paid a ton of money because the Broncos are still paying you.
It was the right move for Wilson. It was also a middle finger to Denver, but mostly just a wise move for him.
And the Steelers.
And the Steelers, obviously. I don't know if he's a huge elevation for the team. I think he has a lot of limitations that largely go around planning your offense. And if most of your limitations are around game plan, then your opponent is able to game plan for that. But at $1.2 million, I don't know if there's a single reason not to say yes. This is an A++ deal. And the Steelers have a great chance at this. I will give a quick mini roast real quickly to Russell Wilson for after accepting veteran minimum after 4 losing seasons and after accepting that he will be in a QB competition, he posted a hype video of coming to the Steelers, and I think that's a little bit interesting, but
that's dangerous.
It's a little bit dangerous.
Ooh.
Steelers country, let's steal.
Yeah. I think this is just absolutely fantastic for the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
I think the only way this could possibly go wrong is if it really pisses off Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And he turns out to be really good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's the only way. But also, I see it way more likely, if anything, that this lights a fire in Kenny. Mm-hmm. He works harder. And if Russell Wilson, if Kenny Pickett gets the starting job and they want to just go all the way through him, if Wilson is cool with that and just wants to mentor Pickett, that would be huge for Pickett and the Steelers for $1.2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the funny thing I think here. I think oddly enough, Kenny Pickett fits the Steelers' offense better, but he just hasn't been good.
Yeah.
So Russ coming in, I guess, if Russ still had his elusiveness and his ability to just make things happen on the fly, Mike Tomlin would love that, man. But Russ just doesn't have that anymore. But you're right. At 1.2, there's literally no downsides here. 1.2 in the grand scheme of a team's salary cap is a drop in the bucket. No one cares. So, yeah, can't go wrong here. All right, Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons. I'll kick this one off. I think this is awesome for Kirk Cousins. I really just didn't think the Vikings were kind of the team for him, even though he had Justin Jefferson, obviously. He now had Jordan Addison. I think he had a coach that loved him a lot. I don't really see the direction the Minnesota Vikings are trying to take right now. I just think they're kind of directionless to a degree. Their defense isn't fantastic. Outside of those 2 receivers on offense and then TJ Hawkinson, their offense isn't really fantastic. Whereas he now goes to the Atlanta Falcons and you now pair Kirk Cousins and all of a sudden Drake London becomes very valuable. Kyle Pitts becomes very valuable because Kirk Cousins loves throwing to tight end. Bijan Robinson is going to continue to be Bijan Robinson. The Falcons become very, very scary in the AFC South with Kirk Cousins. So I think this is great for the Falcons. And then I think this is perfect for Kirk. I think this is probably, up to this point in his career, I think the place where he has one of the best chances to be successful that he's had.
Yeah, it hurts him losing Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
That is a massive loss that any quarterback will be happy to step into in his place. But at the same time, he's gaining a greater depth of talent with this move. And I also think that he is, had very underrated, last few years.
Oh, 100%.
He is probably a little bit underperformed in the clutch. But outside of that, he's been very impressive. And I think that this team that has a lot more depth of talent, you have Bijan, you have London, you have Pitts, they are going to see a massive increase from Kirk Cousins. And legitimately, I pegged the Falcons as one of my worst teams last year, largely because of quarterback talent, largely because of defensive talent. And before this move, I probably had them similarly placed this year. And after this move, I have elevated them so far in my rankings. I think that the Falcons made a brilliant decision here. And that this is going to prove to be a pretty great contract.
It's also just for Kirk. The NFC South is going to be much, much easier to win than the NFC North. If you're Kirk Cousins, you're sitting there on the Vikings going, I'm not sure I can beat the Lions or the Packers in this division for the next 4 years, which would be the contract that he likely would have signed with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the Falcons. They are now likely going to win. They have a good chance to win the division every single year that he's on the Falcons now.
Fun fact, he is the same total dollar amount guaranteed as Baker Mayfield with 1 extra year.
Yeah.
I don't, not going to bash on Baker Mayfield's contract any more than I already have. I think that's praise for, the Falcons and what they were able to get and as far as deals.
I think it also just goes to show Kirk Cousins is well aware of what, leaving money on the table, how far that can go with other players on the team in terms of being able to bring in talent as well. Of being because Kirk wants to win the Super Bowl. He has said he wants to win it all, and he knows if we're going to bring in talent, there needs to be money available to bring those guys in. So,
yeah. I don't disagree with anything either of you have said. I think I'm less optimistic about it. I think for sure they're the best team in the division now with this. Obviously this is going to improve that offensive talent that they have and all other players, Bijan and those other wide receivers. Whatever. I don't feel optimistic enough that this is going to make any big move. They can win the division, which is a dog shit division. But I don't see this team being good enough, even if you add some more players with that contract, to do anything serious in that time frame.
I mean, I probably agree with you for the most part. The roster as it is constructed today, I don't think ever wins a Super Bowl. I don't think ever wins an NFC conference title.
Yeah.
But I think that this management, this front office has shown a lot of prowess in their ability to draft talent and recently their ability to trade and sign free agents. And so I think they have a strong upwards trajectory beyond what I imagined for them. Yeah. So
fair. Yeah.
I don't think that this is necessarily the move today to put them over the top.
Yeah.
But I think that it is a really good step, and that even on this contract, they have a shot if they continue to show this kind of success from the front office.
Cool. I like it. All right, for the next one, Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers, and I'm a resident Packers fan, so I'll start this one too. For a solid 35 minutes today, I thought the Green Bay Packers had the best backfield in the entire NFL with Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, and then unfortunately the Packers announced they were cutting Aaron Jones. Which makes me sad, but I also understand cap casualty. Josh Jacobs is younger. He has had less injury history than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones hasn't played a full season of games in 3 years, I think. So, I love Aaron Jones, but I kind of get it. And also, if you look at how they play, Josh Jacobs is essentially Aaron Jones. Good in the pass game, essentially the same running style, but a year younger. And I know Josh Jacobs wasn't super successful this last year, but he was on the Raiders, who had one of the worst offensive lines in the entire league. And now he's going to the Packers, who had one of the best offensive lines in the entire league, and a coach who knows how to use running backs. So I think Josh Jacobs will be fine. So
and he also improved a lot in between getting injured and Raiders firing their coach.
Yeah. As soon as Antonio Pierce stepped in, he started getting used correctly and was fine. So I like this move for the Packers. Obviously, I wish the move was to get Josh Jacobs and still have Aaron Jones and get rid of A.J. Dillon, because mother of God, that would have been crazy. But, we're not playing with Monopoly money here. You need to still have some room open. So I get why they had to release Aaron Jones. But in terms of running backs that they could fill Aaron Jones's role with, I like Josh Jacobs.
Oh, yeah.
So I like this move.
I agree. I think it's great, especially with what Josh Jacobs did in 2022. Mm-hmm. Is absurd, and what he showed in that brief period with Pierce coming in. And the Green Bay Packers already look incredible. I don't see anything less than a lot coming from Jacobs this season. I think this is great, especially for a young team that has already shown so much talent to get this. Man, Packers are going to be fun.
Interestingly, the Aaron Jones contract that was signed a few years back is the exact same length and dollar amount as Josh Jacobs' contract going forward. So, all signs are positive, given that he is a younger quarterback. He's a similar archetype. My main problem with it is I think that running backs have a steep cliff. Mm-hmm. And I also think that Josh Jacobs' best comp as far as like semi-recent talent is probably a Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was the best running back in the NFL for 3 straight years, and then he turned 27. And he played for 1 more year, and then he was out on his ass. And that 1 more year wasn't great either. Josh Jacobs is 26 right now. So I'm not saying that necessarily he'll follow the same trajectory, but like with that comp and with like the history of running backs is like cliffs, especially for guys that are mostly like downhill, like rushing running backs primarily. It's not a super encouraging sign. I do think that Josh Jacobs is an incredible talent with potential to like overcome that stigma, but it is a concern. And 4 years is more. I think the main problem with the contract for me is the years. Yeah. I don't hate the money at all, but 4 years is a lot of trust. So
we can always cut his ass and hire someone new.
True. Yeah.
All right, last guy, Saquon Barkley joining the Philadelphia Eagles, doing the Giants absolutely dirty here. What do you guys think?
I just think that it was funny that it happened right after the Eagles lost Swift. Mm-hmm. Especially because I have both Swift and Barkley on my fantasy team.
Hell of an upgrade for the Eagles.
So it's like, my Eagles just switched running backs that I already have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for the Giants, obviously, but they're clearly in rebuild mode, so it makes sense to not try and keep him around. And then for the Eagles, absolute upgrade over Swift. Not that Swift is bad, but it's Saquon Barkley. So, and he went and he got the money that he's been looking for. And I think, if anything, this probably just proves that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to double down on their kind of run-first approach this next season that they've been kind of embracing the past couple seasons.
So Barkley actually has more per year than Swift right now, which is kind of insane. But Barkley, I think I agree. It's hilarious that he moved on to a division rival, and I think it's a decent replacement for Swift, who was a like multi-dimensional running back who is probably fairly like low upside, but performed really well last year. And Saquon Barkley has the potential to continue to progress from that ACL injury and sort of elevate his own game. He is 27 years old, so I worry about that cliff again. But I do think that this is probably a good deal for both him and also briefly mentioning DeAndre Swift to the Bears. I think that was a good deal as well.
I mentioned this in one of our fantasy group chats. I love DeAndre Swift, but now I am obligated to hate this man until he is no longer a Bear. So
I think that's the only reason that he's not on this list is
I mean, also, like, I was trying to keep this list short.
Yeah, and he's probably the sixth man on this list.
Yeah, Saquon's a bigger splash than DeAndre Swift.
He is,
so, for sure. All right, over to the NBA. We haven't done NBA power rankings in a hot minute, or at least a full ranking. So here we go. All very similar lists. So let's dive into, Micah, tell me the team at the top of your list, who's the biggest surprise for you that is at the top of the list at this point in the season, and who at the bottom is the biggest surprise for you to be down there. Well, let's exclude the Grizzlies because they're just hurt, so that's not fair.
Yeah. From the start of the beginning of the season, I mean, a lot of these horrible teams I was expecting to be pretty bad. I guess the Nets I expected to be slightly better, but even now I have them at 21, mostly because of the injury to Sengun. I dropped the Rockets. But at the top, I mean, I think it's surprising to everyone that the Thunder is so high, and I'm really glad about it.
Briefly, shout out to all three of us for this was the only time that we were unanimous when we were doing our preseason awards predictions. we all three picked Mark Daignault, and he's heavily favored now. I believe at the time he was the favorite. He was the favorite at the time, but it was at like plus 500.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a unanimous thing, and we called it. Good work, boys.
I was
1 for 10. Let's go.
I was prepped to make another point, and that was I have the Bucks at 3, and both of you guys have them at 5. I think partially that is I dropped the Timberwolves quite a bit with Karl Anthony Towns being injured, and just based on that's the third time you've almost knocked your laptop over. Since coming out of All-Star break, I think the 3 best teams, in my opinion, have been the Celtics, Nuggets, and Bucks. Mm-hmm. Roughly in that order. Bucks for sure being 3. Whether you want to say Celtics or Nuggets is up for debate because they've both been unbelievably incredible. But I think what the Bucks have done since coming out of the All-Star break has easily put them for me at number 3. They've only dropped a few games, and Dame and Giannis are just looking absolutely incredible. I think Patrick Beverley has been good for them. So I think they're worthy of 3, but I'd like to hear your takes on that.
I worry. I still legitimately worry a lot about their defense. I think that they are. They have elevated their defense from a few positions. Like Giannis has really stepped up. A couple of other players have really stepped up. But I do think that they are, as a whole, worse than last year for sure. And I think that those weaknesses are better exploited during the playoffs than they are during the regular season. So I do worry a lot about that. I also have just been very impressed by the 2 teams that we disagree that I put above them. Like the Thunder have continually elevated their own game. Still sit at number 1 in the West, despite like constant like difficult competition from the other teams in the West. The Timberwolves, they sustained that injury to Cat, but theoretically he should be back in time for playoffs. And also they've been very strong without him. So I think that the Bucks, while I do still think that they are the second best in the East, I think that they are the 5th best overall. All right. I also immediately regret my choice of not putting the Nuggets number 1. They have been impressive since the break. They are 6 of 7 wins, and 4 of those are against really tough playoff opponents. Their only loss came in overtime against the Suns, who have also been on a huge incline since the break. The Nuggets, not to mention, have completed the series sweep against the Celtics in the regular season. Like, they have done what they needed to prove that they are the better team. I think that the reason that I put them number 2 is primarily because I do think that they have the harder path to make the finals. I think that they will be my favorite in every single matchup, but not by enough to say that the Celtics, who should be dominant in the East, but I still think Nuggets versus Celtics, I take the Nuggets, but the Celtics have the easier path. And then you look at risers. I just mentioned the Suns. They are like meteoric right now. You're finally seeing a lot more health to the franchise is a huge thing, as well as just they're starting to figure out their own game. I have the Knicks as big risers. I think that I forgot to fill in the last time that we did this is the main reason, because they've been up for a while. And then full season that you mentioned, Evan, my biggest surprise full season, I think, is the Rockets. I have them as non-movers from the last time that I did this, but that is so much higher than I projected them. So shout out to their current season.
You guys are covered pretty much everything. Quickly, I'll just say I think a team that's on the lower end that surprises me a little bit is the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure I expected to see them being like in the bottom half of the league power rankings wise. I didn't expect them to be like top, but they've been worse than I would have expected them to be going into the season. And then a team up towards the top, and I call it to a certain degree, but the Magic have been blowing everybody's expectations out of the water. I put them down as like a fringe playoff team, and right now they are solidly in the postseason and looking very, very good. So
they would have been so much higher for me if it wasn't for the fact they started the season by being like the best in the East. It's like one of those things where it's like, genuinely, they have really impressed me this entire season, but because of the way they started and because of the way that they currently are, I feel like I'm lower on them than I probably should be.
That's how I feel about the Rockets too. Like the Rockets started out so hot, and now that they come back higher than expectations, it still almost feels like a disappointment.
all right, well, let's jump over to what's more likely. Continuing on the segment from last week, it's exactly what it sounds like. Is each of us will be posing two scenarios, and the other two people will say what's more likely. Woo, self-explanatory. Jonathan, we'll kick it off with you. What is your first what's more likely scenario? I don't like that chuckle.
So now that Russell Wilson is no longer on the Broncos, I can make the same jokes that everyone else was. So what's more likely? That Russell Wilson has more touchdowns, or that Russell Wilson has more bathrooms?
Can you remind me how many bathrooms he has in his house?
12.
Currently, it's 13.
Oh, he upgraded.
But he's moving to Pittsburgh, obviously. We don't know how many he will have yet.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm going to say more bathrooms. Honestly. And it's because I know the Steelers haven't been great at the quarterback position, but the Steelers are a defense-first team. They don't rely on their offense scoring a lot of points to win games. It's TJ Watt and all those guys going in and kicking butt. And I don't think Russ is going to change that a lot, honestly. So
I agree with that too. Also, just when he was with Broncos, 100% he was QB1. Not that there's kind of an option. Like, I still think Russ is a better QB than Kenny Pickett, but there is a chance that he's not the quarterback. And even when he was QB1 with some decent talent, it took him a long time to surpass his bathroom count. So I think it's
embarrassing.
Well, and to that, if the Steelers hit week 11, week 12, week 13, and they're under 500, I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Wilson is the QB1 up to that point, if they say, let's give Kenny another shot and see what he can give us.
Great
just to continue to see what we got in Kenny Pickett. So, bathrooms.
Do you have a take, Jonathan?
I'd probably say touchdowns, but that's mostly the product of me not believing at all in Kenny Pickett. I don't think that. I think that this will be a difficult conversation late into the season.
Yeah.
But I do say touchdowns.
All right.
All right. Micah, over to you.
All right. Currently, as the 9th and 10th seed in the West, we have the Lakers and the Warriors, who have each won championships in the last 4 years. My question is, if the playoffs started today, one of them would lose the first round of the play-in tournament. Which team do you think is more likely to make a championship run? Whether you think they can or not part of the question.
It's really just who wins in that first round of the play-in.
And who do you think in the long term could actually make a run in the playoffs?
This playoffs or any?
This playoffs.
I'd probably say the Lakers. I think the Lakers have shown higher flashes than the Warriors had this season. They've gone on longer runs of displaying their kind of high potential than the Warriors have. The Warriors are essentially fully dependent on Steph Curry, whereas the Lakers have had multiple guys, AD, LeBron, a couple other that have carried the team to wins throughout the season. So I just think the team as a whole, I'd probably go with the Lakers.
Yeah.
As much as
I think the
pains
main
me.
reason, the only reason I disagree with that is the question. If playoffs start today, and I think that if those two are matched up with each other, I think that the Warriors have the better chance in a one-game series than I think the Lakers do. The Warriors have a much higher threshold, and I think even a higher average. But the Warriors have a higher threshold, higher average, and the Lakers have the higher floor. So I think the Lakers could theoretically make the deeper push, but I think the Warriors beat them in the play-in tournament. So I guess it depends on how you interpret the question. But I'd probably go Warriors for that.
Okay. I would also say Lakers. I think what AD and LeBron have done this season has been really impressive, and their depth have been really good with D'Lo playing a lot better than he has as of recent. Austin Reeves is solid. I don't know when Vanderbilt's planning on coming back, but they've got some decent talent, and you are fully relying on Steph to make games. And Draymond is still great, but it's really it.
Yeah.
And it's tough for Golden State. But I agree with what you're saying about that one game. Obviously Steph could just have one ridiculous game. But I think overall I do think the Lakers are the better team that could make a push.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think anyone wherever they get out, they're matching up against either Denver or OKC probably.
Yeah.
And
Goodbye.
I think both teams I think could beat them.
All right. Well, last week, Jonathan did a what's more likely between two dumpster fire NFL teams on making the postseason. Time to do it with two dumpster fire NBA organizations. What's more likely? The Washington Wizards or the Detroit Pistons make the postseason in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years,
I know even 5 years seems a bit unlikely. I just didn't want to be a dick and say 10. So
I think I would go with the Pistons. Just because the only good player I think that is on the Wizards is Kuzma. And I really like Cade and Durham. So it's 2 against 1. and 2 is higher.
So here's my main objection to that. Like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, Cade Cunningham, you cannot possibly have missed on that draft pick.
Yeah.
He was obvious. I think that Jalen Durham was a lucky catch. I think that for the most part that the Pistons front office has done less with more. And I think that for the most part, the Wizards have done more with less. So
who have they drafted?
Bilal Coulibaly!
Really just teed him up for that.
I think that he'll progress a lot over the next few years, and I do think that the Wizards, while not entirely, not at all encouraging,
Bilal Coulibaly in 27 minutes played is averaging 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist.
Oh, he'll improve. He'll improve.
Not exactly an out of the park draft pick there.
No, but also the Wizards have had the best ever draft pick in the last 5 years was 5th overall, something like that.
Fair, yeah.
They're going to get an earlier pick this year, hopefully. They're going to continue to put together a couple more pieces. I don't think either franchise should be encouraged by the take that any of us are about to give. But I'm going with the Wizards.
The only thing I would push back against that is I agree that Pistons have squandered many opportunities. But Wizards last season had Kristaps, who played pretty good, Bradley Beal, who was healthy a bit, and Kuzma playing pretty good. And they still couldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when they traded Beal for Poole in that whole exchange, or however they got Jordan Poole has sucked this season. They have gotten significantly worse and didn't hit on what they got.
Yeah.
Which is why I would say Pistons.
That's fair. Like I said, neither fan base should be encouraged by this.
Yeah, they're both awful.
I'm sorry, but
I think they should both be relegated into G League teams.
Agreed. We need relegation.
I think I'd go with the Pistons, especially if they do fire their GM. So he clearly just isn't the answer. I think you need to bring
Sam
in someone.
Hinkie.
Yeah, bring in Sam Hinkie, embrace the tank, trade away Cade. Screw it.
Sam Hinkie is the truth.
All right, Jonathan, back to you for your second one.
All right, so the Vikings just traded Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. What's more likely?
Trade him.
Or they lost. Whatever.
There we go.
Whatever.
It's an important distinction. Come on.
What's more likely? The Falcons make playoffs next year, or the Vikings make playoffs next year?
The hell?
Falcons.
That's easy Falcons. Are you kidding me?
You see the division they're up against?
Yeah, like we just look at the Falcons have to beat out the Saints, the Bucks, and the Panthers. The Vikings, without Kirk Cousins, have to try and beat out the Lions, who were just in the NFC Championship game, and the Packers, who are on the rise.
And the Bears.
The Lions and the Packers.
We got DeAndre Swift.
So, like,
Bears.
Bears.
Easy
Falcons for me.
I think it's a harder question than you two made it out to be, but I agree. Okay, move on.
All right. 2 of the 3 longest championship droughts. And in my lifetime of watching sports, the 2 most poverty franchises have been the Knicks and the Kings. The Knicks have not won a championship since
68?
Conference Finals championship.
Oh, no, he's probably.
Knicks have not won since 73.
I was really hoping you would go through this long pause and then say, Knicks have not won
Ever. No, they have both won.
I'm pretty sure that's the Kings. Oh, the Kings have won?
Yeah, Kings won in 1951.
Before they moved
before
to
the
Sacramento.
merger.
Yeah.
Much before.
And Knicks last won in 1973. Atlanta Hawks have also is the 3rd team. They haven't won since 58, but they felt better overall in my experience. Kings and Knicks have been the worst teams since I've started watching, but both of them are on the rise, having pretty good teams that are actually trying to win right now. Who do you think is more likely to break their drought next? The Knicks or the Kings?
No. I mean, I think I lean towards the Kings because they have the higher star talent right now, and they also have, I think, a pretty decent trajectory based on the front office's moves. But I also think the answer is no. Neither of these current iterations will win it all.
That wasn't the question.
If either, I know. If either of these current iterations do it, it's the Kings. And if neither of them do it, it's an impossible question to answer. So my answer is the Kings.
I think I'm going to go with the Knicks, in part because the Eastern Conference is just easier. And the Western Conference has now been better for 30 years. And everybody keeps saying, oh, it'll swing back to the East at some point. No, everybody just wants to play on the West Coast. So the Eastern Conference is just not as good. So it's an easier path to the finals. And then I don't know. I think the Knicks have gotten past their dumpster fire organization phase. The moves they've been making over the past 2-3 years have been fantastic for what they need to do. And to a certain degree, I almost feel like they have better depth than the Kings do. They just don't have the same top players that the Kings do, I think.
I would almost
swap that, you think? I
don't know about swapping, but Brunson has been absurd.
I know Brunson has been absurd. But no one on the Knicks in my mind beats Sabonis. Sabonis is Julius Randle isn't better than Sabonis. Fox and Brunson, I would almost say, is when Fox plays to his full potential, it's a wash. Because Fox on his best nights is nuts. Brunson is just more consistent.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I'll give you that.
So but then I think the Knicks have a deeper roster.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about current iterations, to Jonathan's point, I think the Knicks, just because the Eastern Conference has a better chance of shifting to the Knicks of being like the power team in the East than the Kings becoming the power team in the West. I'd probably put the Knicks in there. Again, similar to Jonathan, though, it's like it's just tough. But the Knicks are also in a big market, which I feel like does play a factor and can attract free agents if you show you can become a good franchise. Whereas no one wants to be in Sacramento.
That's also what I was thinking. Like the Knicks finally seem like competent and have a lot of talent and have some money to play around with.
Yeah.
Like they're not paying Brunson or Randall that much, and you're also like relying on some of these role players that you're not paying a lot, like Josh Hart and those other guys. But like Knicks are finally looking good and competent. And like, who doesn't want to play for the New York Knicks? They're like,
That's a good point.
Or play at play your career at MSG.
Yeah. Like now that they're finally good, yeah, I would want to go there. So I would say the Knicks, but
yeah. Cool. All right. Last one. Well, we gotta do a second Russell Wilson one just because it makes things interesting. I thought this one was fun. What's more likely? Aaron Rodgers leads the New York Jets to the postseason next year, or Russell Wilson leads the Pittsburgh Steelers to the postseason? It's tough because the Steelers have been in the playoffs more recently, but Aaron Rodgers, at least currently, is presumed to be the much better quarterback at this point in time.
yeah, I think I would go with the Jets. I think they're in the much more difficult. I mean,
they're both
in
divisions have like two great teams and then a bum team. So, although, I mean, I guess with the Steelers, you have the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals. So you kind of have three good teams, whereas the Jets at least can beat up on the Patriots.
Yeah. I do think I'd go with the Jets just because last season they made their team for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And then they were left with
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson to lead that team. And they weren't as bad as I was expecting with Zach Wilson. So I think if you put Aaron Rodgers in it, I think that is a much better team than adding Russ to the Steelers.
Yeah.
I strongly agree. I don't think it's a debate. I think that the Jets have unquestionably the better defense of the two teams. I think that they nearly unquestionably have the better skill positions on offense at almost any position. I would say running back, obviously, even though, like, theoretically, you have Breece Hall as the Jets running back. So you look at the strongest position probably for the Falcons with Bijan Robinson, and you have a guy that, save for the ACL injury, would be right with him. So, and then combine that with a guy who won 2 MVP awards in the last 3 years versus a guy who missed playoffs in each of the last 4 seasons. I don't know. I don't think it's much of a debate. I do see, like, the Steelers had more success than the Jets last year, but I think that's largely a product of a terrible quarterback, like, very much diminishing his team. That is now being elevated by an amazing quarterback who will elevate his team. So it's the Jets.
Great.
Russell Wilson, bum. Aaron Rodgers, goat. And hippie fuck, as I like to call him.
But he's got ayahuasca to enlighten his brain.
Now time for some sports trivia.
Wait, are we not doing the rest of the What's More Likely?
No, we decided to cut it off at 2. We're
sorry.
on hour 23.
Okay.
All right, for this week's trivia, we'll leave the scoreboard.
Do we? Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
This week's trivia is Guess the sports city from the team colors.
Okay.
So, 3 teams per slide, an NBA, NFL, and MLB team. You'll be receiving the 3 primary colors of each team. Teams who play in a neighboring suburb to the city will count as a part of that city. Best example is the Patriots playing Foxborough, but we'll count them as Boston.
Okay.
The Arizona Cardinals playing Glendale, but Phoenix.
Yeah.
Will each of the teams' league be labeled?
No.
Okay.
So we're getting that. League won't be labeled, and they will be mixed up on each slide at random, so there's no point in trying to keep track. That is where the hints come in, though. There are hints for each slide. The hints will be when you guys ask for a hint, I will give you the league of one team to help narrow it down for you.
For MLB, will it be only Major League?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that would just be cruel. There can be repeats of cities if they have enough teams to do so. So, Los Angeles and New York
Yeah.
are the only 2 that fall into that category.
And then last thing, are they all current?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll get a point if you guess the city correctly, and then you get a bonus point if you name each of the teams.
Okay.
Which is mainly just seeing, do you guys know MLB teams?
Yeah.
So there are a total of 13 questions, 26 points available. Divide it half. Yeah, you'll be fine.
All right.
Jonathan has another question.
Can I lose, or can I get the bonus point if I lose the main point?
Oh, great question.
Yes, you can steal if the other person fails.
Cool.
That could lead us to a tie, but as Micah did last week, we'll figure it out if that happens. All right, and then I will put you on 5-second freeze once you have a guess. So, all right, but with that, let us get things started with the first slide. Let's go.
Buzz.
Yes.
Cleveland.
Yes.
Yes. As soon
All
as
right.
I saw Team 3.
Can you name the 3 teams?
It's the Cavaliers, it's the Browns, and it is the Guardians.
That is correct.
It used to be the Indians.
Yeah.
I was about to shout the Indians.
All right. Second city.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, here we go.
Buzz.
Yes.
Oakland.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Yes.
LA.
That is correct.
Nice.
Can you name the 3 teams presented here?
Team 1 is the Rams. Team 3 is the Clippers. And Team 2 is the... I don't think that's the Angels, but Angels.
That is the Angels.
Oh, thank
That is
God.
correct.
Angels would have been my guess.
All right. 2-2. On to the next city. Here we go.
Buzz.
Yes.
Cincinnati.
No.
Shit. Wait. Oh, wait.
Buzz.
Micah?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
What? Oh.
It's not.
Buzz.
Yes.
Arizona.
That's not a city.
Okay. What the fuck is the city for it?
Phoenix.
But like at least one of those teams is called the Arizona somethings.
Yeah, but he made
That's
the
the one
distinction in the rules.
Okay.
So Team 2 is the Suns. Team 3 is the Cardinals. And Team 1 is the Diamondbacks.
Damn it. Wait, what?
Did I mix up?
You flipped the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals.
I'll take 1 point.
Yeah, we'll give you 1 point on that because you flipped them. All right. On to the next city. Micah leads 3-2.
Buzz. Miami.
Yes.
So Team 2 is the Dolphins. Team 3 is the Heat. And 1 is the Marlins.
Yeah.
That is correct. 2 points to Micah. All right. 5-2. On to the next one.
Buzz. Minnesota.
That's a state.
Minneapolis. Damn it.
Minneapolis.
Yeah. Okay, name the teams.
3 is Vikings. 1 is Timberwolves, and 2 is Brewers.
No, it's the Twins.
I didn't know I was going to steal that.
That is tough because they're all Minnesota, but it is Minneapolis.
Who is Brewers? Is that
Milwaukee.
okay?
All right. Next one coming up. It is 5-3. Micah lead.
Buzz. Cleveland.
Incorrect.
Boston.
Incorrect.
That was stupid. Yeah, there's no green in there.
You essentially went at the same time, so no 5-second ball. That's funny. I thought this was the most obvious line on the
Buzz. Philadelphia.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Oh.
DC.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, name the teams.
Damn it.
2 is obviously the Commanders. Do I need to distinguish 1 and 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Fuck. I'm gonna say 3 is the Wizards, and then 1 would be. Holy shit!
You guys are bad sports.
I don't know.
Pass. Actually, I'm gonna pass. I don't want to give him a hint.
I don't know what the baseball team is.
The Washington Nationals.
Nationals. I got Wizards on 3. Yes, let's go.
I would have put Wizards as 1.
All right, so 5-4 now. Micah lead.
right.
Going into question number 7.
How many questions?
13 total, so we're
Right.
at the halfway point. Next one.
Buzz. Boston.
Incorrect.
Oh shit.
Boston.
Team 2. Oh,
Buzz.
am I back?
Cowboys? Dallas.
No.
Wait. Oh shit. Never mind. Buzz. Philadelphia.
Incorrect.
Wow. These are such generic ass colors.
Yeah, this one was fun for me.
That doesn't make sense.
Remember, if you guys
Buzz. Houston.
Incorrect. Remember, if you guys want a hint, I will tell you the league for one of the teams to help narrow it down.
I want to wait.
Buzz. Los Angeles.
Incorrect.
Buzz. New York?
That is correct.
All right.
New York City, or is that not the city?
In New York City, yeah.
Okay, so we'll say 2 is the Giants.
Correct.
I'll say 1 is the Knicks, or the Nets, and the 3 is the Yankees.
That is correct. All right, 7-4.
I was really hoping you would stick with Knicks.
I intentionally did that because I was like, well, the Mets have wild colors, the Jets have wild colors, and the Knicks have wild colors. Let's go with the bland teams of the New York City. All right, on to the next city, number 8. Micah up 7-4.
Buzz. Denver.
Incorrect.
Am I back on?
Buzz. Chicago?
Incorrect.
Detroit.
That is correct. Name the teams.
Team 1 is the Lions. Team 2 is the Pistons. And then... like... I think this is the hockey team, but I'm going to go with the Flyers.
The Flyers are in Philadelphia.
Yeah, okay.
And that is a hockey team. Micah, can you grab it?
Sticking with 1 and 2 for what he said.
Okay.
3 is... Oh, it's there.
Count them down.
I don't got it.
No. It is the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah! I saw the logo. I was like, Okay.
Logo's not helpful, though.
Yeah, it's not.
All right, 7-5, Micah lead going into question number 9. Here we go.
Buzz. Houston.
That is correct. Name the teams.
Yeah.
If you get this right, you're tied up.
Number 1 is the Astros.
Yes.
We have the... God damn this.
Now, which one is which?
Which one has the lighter red? That one should be easier for me. 2 is Texans, 3 is Rockets.
That is correct.
Boom.
All right. Tie game, 7-7, going into question number 10. Here we go.
Buzz. Cleveland.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Chicago.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Denver.
Yes, it is Denver.
That is Nuggets, Rockies, Broncos. As soon as I said it, I knew I couldn't react because I was like, God damn it, how did I fuck that up? But if I made a face, Mike would have gotten it.
All right, there's now 9-7. Jonathan lead. Going into number 11. Here we go.
Buzz. Portland. I thought it was coming.
With an MLB and NBA NFL team.
Am I done yet? Buzz. Boston.
Yes.
Fuck. 3 is the Celtics.
Good luck.
I know the team for baseball. I just don't want to mess up the order because that's scary. But I think I have to risk it. 1 is Patriots. 2 is Red Sox.
That is correct.
Let's go.
Oh, no.
All right. 11-7. Jonathan lead. Micah. You don't have to clean sweep, but you need to get 3 of the next 4. All right. On to the next one. Question number 12.
Buzz. Chicago.
That is correct.
Bulls, Bears, White Sox.
Yes. All right. 13-7. Micah can tie it up here, and that'll be interesting. All right. Number 13. Here we go.
Buzz. Boston.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Dallas.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. All right. Can you name the teams?
3 is Cowboys. 2 is Mavericks. 1 is the Rangers.
That is correct.
Nice. I was trying to think of the Dallas baseball team, and it wasn't registering. Texas Rangers. Yeah,
That's right. All right. On to the next one. Here we go.
Buzz. Boston.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Philly.
That's
Yes.
what I was going to say.
Okay.
You literally got to 0 as you said. God damn it.
1 is Eagles. 3 is 76ers. And 2 is Phillies.
That is incorrect. Jonathan.
Count them down.
1 is Eagles. 3 is Sixers. No, wait. I don't know a better answer. So 3 has to be Phillies and 2 is Sixers?
That is correct.
I will say there have been times that both of us have not got have switched to, and you have not allowed a steal. Just saying, this is the first time you've allowed a steal.
So you've switched to? No one's switched.
He's correct. Don't give a point for the second part.
We said all 3 teams, but we didn't get the order right.
Yeah.
Like you called you out if you haven't gotten the order right. If you haven't gotten the correct
Right,
team.
but you haven't allowed a steal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we only give Jonathan a point.
Yes.
So, how many questions left, and what's the point?
One more. Jonathan sealed it at this point.
Okay.
All right, last one, though.
Buzz. Indiana? Annapolis?
No. They don't have a baseball team.
Yeah. I was just waiting for yellow.
Buzz, Portland.
They still don't have two of those teams.
Who the fuck?
Buzz. We already done Cleveland?
Yes.
The city we haven't gone to yet. It's not.
Buzz, Arizona, whatever the fuck. Phoenix.
No.
We already did that one.
We've already done that. We've already gone there.
Oh, wait. Buzz, Tampa Bay.
No. They don't have a basketball team.
Unless you counted the Florida Blue Rocks.
That doesn't work.
Buzz, Atlanta.
It is.
Yeah.
3 is Falcons. Wait. Yeah. Wait. What colors are the Hawks? Which one's Falcons? Which one's Hawks? Who has yellow? Who has gray? 2 is Hawks, 3 is Falcons, and 1 is whoever the fuck they are.
Braves.
Braves. Thank you.
I guess it doesn't matter. But Jonathan winds up coming up with the win for that one.
Good game.
Well done, Jonathan.
Good trivia.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I like shuffling the teams. That made it a lot harder.
Yeah.
And still very doable.
I like I was telling Micah, because I knew the answers, I was like, oh, these are too easy. And I almost made this harder than it was. I almost made it 2 teams, and they could be MLB, NBA, or NFL.
Jeez.
And I would have gone with cities that didn't necessarily have to have all 3 franchises.
Miserable.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, let's cap things off with Sportsbook Showdown. Micah, what is your first bet of the week?
My first bet of the week is in the upcoming Players' Championship for the PGA Tour. Got Scotty Scheffler going top 5, Sahith Theegala going top 10, and Sungjae Im going top 20. That is plus 5,660. I am putting 2 units on it.
Cool. Jonathan, over to you.
Me gusta. I'm going with Michael Porter Jr. tonight, right now, to have 4+ made threes versus the Raptors. That's plus 210. I'm only going 1 unit down, which breaks my pattern, but he's only got 1 3 so far at halftime, so yay.
Sucker.
All right, for my bet, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers to draft a safety with their first pick of the NFL draft. Safety is a big position of need for them. A lot of good safeties in this draft. That's plus 1,600, putting 2 units down on it.
All right. On Tuesday's slate of NBA games, I've got Oklahoma City, New York, and the Milwaukee Bucks all winning money line against, respectively, the Pacers, Kings, and Sixers. That is plus 318. I'm putting 2 units on it.
Noise. For my bet number 2, Micah said it was obvious that this would happen now, and I say that he's right. The Atlanta Falcons are going to win the NFC South. That's minus 110 right now, and I'm going 2 units down.
All right. My second bet, I'm going Mr. Irrelevant to be a wide receiver in this year's draft. I'm taking that at plus 650, 2 units.
All right. My final bet is that the Portland Timbers will win the MLS Cup.
Coming back to Portland, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it.
God knows the Rapids ain't winning it.
Even though they are number 1 in the West right now, they are plus 2,800 odds. Put in 1 unit on it.
All right. For my last bet, I'm going all underdogs on Tuesday's slate of games. This is the best I've ever felt about the all underdogs slate, and that is 76ers over Knicks, Pacers over Thunders, Grizzlies over Wizards, Spurs over Rockets, Timberwolves over Clippers, and Bucks over Kings. There are a couple of injuries that I'm a little bit worried about, but that's why they're underdogs. So, plus 28,269 doesn't hurt. 2 units down.
Yeah, these are all very doable.
That's a coward's bet. All right, for my last bet of the week, and this is the only one that will be vesting this week, I am doing college men's basketball slate for tomorrow night, March 12th. All against the spread, and we are going with Davidson -4, UCF -4, George Washington +2, Notre Dame -1.5, Cincinnati -9.5, Rhode Island +2.5, North Carolina State -9.5, Vermont -13.5, Mount St. Mary's -3, UMass Lowell -6, Miami, Florida -1.5, Merrimack -6.5, Iona -8, Jacksonville State -3.5, and Niagara -10 at plus 1,611,400. Putting a unit down on that, and it's gonna hit. All right, Jonathan, take us out.
The matchup for this year's finals will end something like this: the Denver Nuggets beating the Miami Heat. Yeah, it's happening again.
Ooh, all right.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.